Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for another speed build. Now today we will be doing an indoor speed build and it will be in the Nightmare Before Christmas Haunted Mansion. Now a lot of my house skins I have out in my valley or in my Eternity Isle, and I just have so many of them that just aren't decorated inside at all, and so I'm kind of on a mission now to get the interiors all decorated, things that I can kind of add to and chop and change as we get new items and things like that. Obviously this one is more of a Halloweeny themed house, however with the addition of the new Jack Skellington bookshelves that we've recently had added to Scrooge's in the last update, I decided it was the perfect time to make kind of a haunted library kind of crafting potion magical space for Jack, if that makes any sense. But I just wanted it to be a space for him where he kind of had an area that really fit his character, really fit Nightmare Before Christmas, and so I decorated 3 rooms inside this building. I left the last one completely empty because I wanted to ask if you guys had any suggestions of something to add in here, as I wasn't too sure what to put in, so I thought I'd leave it up to you and we can decide later on. But let's get started. So to start off with, I started in the main room. Now I knew I wanted this to be kind of a entranceway room. I didn't want it to be too structured. I just wanted it to kind of have all the different elements of Nightmare Before Christmas and a spooky theme, and it to feel very kind of haunted and deserted. So I did add a lot of kind of different items of different themes, but kept it obviously in that theme of Nightmare Before Christmas. So I went in and started placing all the items I knew I was going to use. I used some dark wood flooring as well as the new Jack's ghostly wallpaper. If you haven't seen this pop up in Scrooge's yet, it is new for the last update, so I knew I wanted to use that inside this house in all the 3 rooms because it is such a cool wallpaper, and it is nice to finally have something that really fits with Jack's character and Nightmare Before Christmas as a whole. So I went in and started adding all the furniture around this and figuring out where I wanted things to go. Now once I'd done the main layout of this room, I started adding some lighting, and I also changed the doors. I just changed them to these thorny doors because they obviously fit the spooky theme the most out of the options of the doors we have. I do hope in the future we get some more different styles of doors. I would love some kind of like nice gothic doors. I feel like they'd work really well in here, but for now I went for those, and I started adding some smaller items into the room, rearranging things slightly and figuring out where I wanted everything to go. But I knew that in here I wanted the cauldron to kind of be the centerpiece. Unfortunately I couldn't get it centered completely because Disney Dreamlight Valley has an issue with things being centered, so it is slightly off center, but it is still in the middle of the room, and I wanted to kind of surround the lining walls with paintings and potion shelves and a little desk area, and kind of just give it this nice open layout so that when you come in it's open. Before I headed into the left hand side room, which is going to be our main library room. Now as I said before, I stuck with the same theme with the wallpaper and the flooring. I did go for a slightly different pattern, but the same dark wood, and I added in one of those really old chandeliers before I started figuring out the layout for the bookshelves. Now I love these bookshelves, but they are quite hard to change and kind of manipulate around each other. With our other bookshelves in the game, they're very easy to just slot next to each other. They fit next to each other perfectly and kind of create this beautiful bordered look in a room, whereas these ones are slightly different shapes and sizes, which means that it's very hard to kind of panel them along the walls. So I did figure out for a while the best way to get them into the positions I wanted them to be, and I first went with this kind of like tapered look with some in front of the others, but as we go on and like I maneuver things about, I do change it up a little bit. But I did want to get the bookshelves in first because obviously this is the focal point of the room. I wanted it to be this very dark spooky library, but then I went in and added lots of books and some other items and kind of tried to figure out the layout a little bit more. Now in the centre of the room I did decide to create like a little table seating area. I didn't want to do anything too complicated because I still wanted the room to feel quite open and kind of spooky. I didn't want it to be too cluttered in here, so I just went with a simple kind of modern table and some chairs, and then added some kind of eclectic things to the desk, and I included two red rugs underneath just to kind of tie it all together and give it a kind of very dark atmosphere. But I didn't want it to kind of take away from the centerpiece of the room, which is obviously the walls lined with bookshelves. Now, as you can see, I did rearrange the bookshelves as I said earlier. I did take out the two kind of ones that were slightly in front. I just felt like they didn't really work and the gap was kind of just bothering me. So I decided to move the books back into these corners and kind of make these nice cluttered corners, and then add paintings to kind of block out the wall space and make the bookshelf in the middle be more of a centerpiece, before I moved on to the final room, which I decided was going to be kind of like Jack's office or Jack's kind of hideout. So I wanted to really make the theme in here something kind of obviously fitting the spooky theme, but a lot more structured. I wanted it to feel like it was kind of his den where he got up to all his mischief. So I went in and placed in one of the black Wreck-It Ralph desks. I feel like this just worked really well with the vibe I was going for in here because it is a black desk. And I started arranging all the furniture around that, as I knew that was going to be kind of the focus point. And then it meant from that I could kind of build on it, start decorating the walls and getting in the furniture I wanted to use. Now in this room, once again, I went for the same wall and flooring just to keep it consistent, and I actually added a touch of magic rug before finishing up. So this is the final first room. As I said before, it is kind of just this entranceway, kind of just setting the tone of what kind of building it is. I didn't want it to be like an entrance of a home because I wasn't necessarily creating Jack's home. I wanted it to feel more like his kind of workspace or his hideout. So I kind of went with more of an entrance in the sense of a kind of potion-y area with lots of covered paintings and a couple of bookshelves, just to kind of bring the atmosphere, but in a very kind of simplistic way, before we headed into the two more built-up rooms. So the first one is obviously the library. Now the library is hard to show because when you pan around you kind of go behind the bookshelves, unfortunately, but as you can see, the walls are kind of lined with the two different styles of bookshelves that we now can get in Scrooge's. We've got some statues on some pillars. We've obviously got the center table in the middle, which I wanted to keep very plain. I didn't want to clutter the table too much because I wanted it to feel kind of just like this open space. So I did include a couple of stacks of books and some candles and things like that, but that was mainly it. And on the back wall I obviously had the big bookshelf with the paintings, and that kind of finished that up. Now we will walk through to the final room, which is obviously Jack's like main hideout room, and I love this room. I think it's actually my favorite out of the three. I think it turned out better than I expected. The desk in here works super well. It looks so grand, but also so kind of keeps with the dark theme. We have so many furniture items that I could use to make like potion stands and things like that. Even the starry windows I wasn't sure would work, but they actually turned out really well, and this room just seems like such a super cool hideout, and the whole build itself is really just better than I thought it would be. So here are some shots of the final build. As I did say at the beginning, I have not decorated the final room on the right. Now I was debating for a long time whether to make it a bedroom, but then I didn't want it to feel too much like a house. I was debating making it kind of like a cozy room with, again, more bookshelves, but kind of like couches and a fireplace and things like that. But I never really set in stone what I wanted to do. So I thought what I will do is I will upload the video and then see if you guys have any suggestions in the comments of something you think would be good, or even if it's something that you want to see me kind of try and do, or me testing out different things. I thought I would ask you first before I decide what to put in there. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and it gave you some inspiration of how to use these new spooky bookshelves. Obviously I know they're not too new anymore, but I have only just got around to utilizing them. But make sure you like and subscribe, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye!